Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
All right. Jaime is the CEO and founder of Keystone Group International, a driving force in leadership development, organizational strategy, and change management. Beyond her role at Keystone, she extends her influence as the host of the View from the Top podcast and is the author of 3 best-selling books, You Are Here, The Culture Climb, and Surviving Greatness, which is the one you'll be getting today. Through these platforms, Jaime empowers leaders worldwide to reach their full potential, sharing personal challenges and the solutions that led to her success. She uses her lessons learned summiting Mount Kilimanjaro, one of the 7 summits, to help leaders assess their own success and legacy to create energy for their next climb. Jaime has been an entrepreneur for 13 years and has served on the boards for several for-profit and nonprofit organizations. She has been named to Inc. magazine's 200 top female founders, a 100 women to know in America, and Twin Cities Business notable female entrepreneurs. Her company has been named to the Inc. 500 fastest growing companies in the Midwest. Please welcome Jaime Taets.
Anytime someone reads my bio, I'm always like, that's why I'm so damn tired all the time. Like there's been a lot, right? We all do a lot. So how many of you were here last year? Raise your hand. Sweet. Okay. Were you, hopefully you were excited to see me back. I don't know how I got invited back, but I'll take it. But we're gonna talk about something different this year. We're not talking about business. You've had enough business for 2.5 days. We're gonna talk about life as humans. It's kind of hard right now. Yeah? Does it feel hard to be a leader? Some days, does it feel hard to just be human some days? Yep, it sure does. But that's what communities like this, that's why it matters. Because when things in the world feels like a dumpster fire, which is a nice way of putting what it feels like in Minneapolis, at least right now, we need people to lean on. We need the Lindas that we can call and say, it's not feeling great right now. I need you to course correct, right? I need you to help me reframe. And so what I hope for you today is that I just help you reframe where you're at. Your head is full. So sit back, and this is not knowledge you have to take in. This isn't something that you then got to go back and share with your team. This is for you. And that's what I want to talk about today is how we as leaders get stronger, learn how to manage our own energy so that we can continue fighting the good fight, because it's going to continue to be a fight. Right? The business environment is going to get more complicated, not less. We all know that. And we are going to have to continue to be change leaders in our communities, in our families, and in our businesses. And that takes a lot of energy. So don't underestimate what it takes, but we've got to get good at putting things in perspective. And that's why I wrote the book. The book is a leadership fable, right? It is not an academic book. It's not something that's going to make your head hurt. It should be something you can read in 2 hours or less. So any of you who have flights home, my goal when I wrote it was I want it to be a flight book. Like you can almost get through it depending on how fast of a reader you are in a flight, just to reset, right? To help you think differently. So what I wanted to do is start with today, before I tell you the story about Mount Kilimanjaro, I want to talk about this word success. So I've had a really hard time with this word over my life. I've always had trouble defining what it really was because I let the world tell me what it was supposed to be. And in 2022 and 2023, I had some of the hardest years of my life. Not 2020, fascinating. Getting a business through COVID was not the hardest years of my life. Our business grew 40% in 2020 when most professional services firms were shutting their doors. And then we grew 50% in 2021. And I was like, huh. And 2022 started. And like any good entrepreneur, my ego went, I clearly know what I'm doing. And then 2022 happened. I made some really big mistakes in my business to the tune of about $500,000. So does anybody know what happens when an entrepreneur makes a $500,000 mistake? Where's that come from? My kids' college fund. I have 3 in college right now, one that just graduated. Don't tell them it came from their college fund, but they're figuring it out. It's called loans. I had them. No, but it sets you back. And in August of 2022, I joke, but it was kind of serious, is that if anybody had walked into my office on the right day at the right time, I would have sold them my business for $2. I hated it. After the grind and the build and all the blood, sweat, and tears, almost 10 years in, I hated my business. I did not feel successful at all. But you know, to the outside world, I was checking all the boxes. I had all the 2023, I won all the awards. I looked super successful. And on the inside, I was miserable. There's a lot of us operating like that. There's a lot of people on our teams and in our businesses operating like that right now. And there's nothing wrong with them. The best thing I heard during that time that really helped me reframe was a mentor told me, you're not broken, you're breaking through. And I think about it every day. And it's actually a quote by somebody, I just don't know who it is. So it is somebody's quote, I'm not stealing it. But a lot of us feel broken in certain ways. And throughout our leadership journeys, if we look back, there have been those moments where you're like, it just doesn't feel good. That doesn't mean you failed. It just means you're redefining what success looks like. Right? I'm in another one of those chapters now. I hired a president in 2023, which was the smartest thing I ever did. She makes as much as I do in my business, and it's worth every single penny because I get to do things like this. I get to do things that actually energize me instead of run the business. Nobody reports to me but her. It's marvelous, you guys. Marvelous. But I've created that. To go back to 2022, I got to August. I made some really big decisions in the business to change the business. And I recommitted, kind of. I was like, I think I can do this. And then I decided I needed to do something at the beginning of 2023 that scared me more than where I was at. The fear I was standing there looking at, the lack of confidence in me as a business owner and to be able to make the right decisions, all of that was staring me in the face. And so I decided I needed to do something that scared me more. So, like any normal, rational person, I went to my bucket list, which I actually keep, I call it a live it list, not a bucket list, a live it list. And I said, what's the scariest thing on here? I actually had diving with sharks, swimming with sharks was on there, but that wasn't as scary as climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. I had put it on the list. I didn't think I was actually going to do it. I mean, people make bucket lists. They don't actually do everything on their bucket list. And I thought, well, I wonder what it takes. Like, I'm fit. I love to hike, right? But I'm also a mom with 4 kids who lives in the suburbs. So I'm not a mountain climber. So I did my research. I told no one. I found a great guide group because you can't go through Kilimanjaro. You can't climb Kilimanjaro without a certified, whatever the highest level of like extreme certified guides is. And I signed up to climb Kilimanjaro to travel halfway around the world by myself without telling anyone. Why do you think I didn't tell anybody? Yeah, I didn't want to fail. Right? What if I don't make it to the top? About 65% of people make it to the top of Mount Kilimanjaro that attempt. Why else do you think I didn't tell anybody, including my spouse, when I signed up? Now, don't feel bad for him. He knows what he married, right? I'm a very independent person. So it's not like for all the people that are like, I can't believe she didn't tell her spouse. No, he knows what he understands. Why do you think I didn't tell the people closest to me? The risk associated with it. It's exactly. Because if I had told my mom, I didn't tell my mom till 3 weeks before I left. I signed up in August. I left in January. Yeah, correct. The moment when I spent the money and went, yes, I'm doing it, and I booked the plane ticket, there was no out. When we are going to do things that scare us, when we're going to do something new, when we are like, you know what, this job trajectory I've been on is not as energizing for me, and I'm going to make a change. Do not tell the people that love you the most. I'm sorry that I know that sounds horrible. I love my mom and my sister and my best friend and my husband. But their risk profile for my life is different than mine. And they want you safe. So if I had told any of them, they would have given me all the articles that talk about the people that die at the top of Mount Kilimanjaro. Yes, it happens. But there's also a lot of people that have amazing experiences. And so I decided not to tell anybody. I trained in quiet. I didn't post anything online. I didn't do anything with it. I just did the work I needed to do. And in January of 2023, specifically January 27th, my anniversary coming up here, I made it to the top of Mount Kilimanjaro. Well, thank you. Don't ever do it. Talk to me if you're going to do it. I shouldn't say that. Talk to me if you're going to do it. My kids who wouldn't talk to me for 2 weeks after I told them I was doing it now want to do it. And I told them I would do it again with them, except for summit night, where I'll tell you stories in a moment about summit night. It's horrendous. Also, my idea up to this point of camping, any of you campers, like real hardcore, like Boundary Waters campers, you guys are another breed. My idea of camping was a Holiday Inn Express. I went for 7 days in a tent with no running water. Women, that means no toilet. Guys have no problem. No toilet, no shower, baby wipes. I'll leave the rest up to your, like, it was not, that part was like, can I survive that? I don't even know about the mountain. Like, can I survive that kind of camping? That's rough. But what I realized, and I'll tell you some of the lessons that I learned on the mountain, what I realized afterwards was that mountain that I had to climb, and I'm going to talk about, it's a proverbial mountain. We all have mountains that we're climbing right now, all have mountains that we are going to climb in the future. It could be a health scare, right? A health issue. It could be something in your family, right? An issue with your child or your parents. We are all dealing, when we tell our stories, of mountains that we have to climb. And what I realized is the mountain was my edge. And what I mean by that is if you're standing and the edge is where those chairs are, from back here, it looks really scary. But that's because I can't see anything that's over the edge. And as I get closer and closer to that edge, I start to realize it's just another view. There might be another mountain, there might be a trail. But if I spent all my time standing back here, waiting for life to happen to me and for the world to tell me what I'm supposed to do, I don't actually live my life, right? It runs me. And that's what most of us are doing. We're on autopilot, right? We go through the motions every day. We have joy, we have sorrow, we have all the emotions, but we're just going through the motions. We're not actually living our lives. And what I realized in that moment, as the mountain was my edge, is that the only way I know how far I can go is to keep going, to take another risk, not to step backwards. Step backwards is not comfort. Comfort is figuring out how far can you go, not going too far, and living in that world of uncomfortable comfort a little bit, right? In between there. That's what you guys all need to do. The only way that our businesses thrive in this chaos in the business environment is for you guys to take risks. For you guys to say the thing that nobody else wants to say. For you guys to keep beating the drum and hoping at some point you're going to beat it into them that this is what we need to do. It's a mountain you are climbing. I do this for a living, right? I understand you guys. I understand the change you are trying to impart on your organizations. And if not you, then who? No one else is going to come in and save your organization. No one else is going to come in and help or prepare for the next disruption, which is likely right around the corner. You guys are going to do that. But you have to be risk takers. And sometimes you have to do it without everyone around you validating that you're doing the right thing. It can get pretty lonely at the top of a mountain because you're the only one there. You're the only one trying to do it better and differently and thinking about culture and caring about people, but keep going anyway. The further up the mountain you go, you look to your left and your right, and there's less and less people. That's the way it's going to be to truly impart change on the world and on our organizations. And the world needs us to be the people who are driving change. So I want to share with you some lessons that I learned on the mountain. And these are going to be personal lessons, but they absolutely apply to what you're doing here the last 2.5 days, to what you're going to do when you go back to your organizations, to 2026 and 7 and 8 and beyond. So the first lesson is what I call the true search for peace. So I've got pretty good habits. I meditate every morning. I typically move my body in some ways. The one habit I cannot seem to master is journaling. Even though every quarter my coach tells me I'm supposed to be, what I just got really good at is buying really cool journals. I have a stack of them if anyone's looking for one. Anybody else a journal buyer? Not so much a journal journaler? Okay. Glad to see I'm not alone in that. But when I was going on the mountain, I knew I had to journal. I did some video journaling, but I knew I had to write down my emotions and what I was feeling and the things I remembered, because I knew at the end I wouldn't remember all of those things, right? I'm in my 40s. I can barely remember your names when you tell me your names, right? Like I knew I wasn't going to remember all the details. So I committed I was going to journal 3 times a day. In the morning before we set off, when we took a break at lunch, and in the evening. And I would like to say I accomplished my goal. I haven't journaled really since, but I did do it on the mountain. And I decided when I was coming off the mountain that I was not going to read my journals for a full month. I was not going to go back and read them. Because when you do something this personally transformative, you don't want to kind of jump right back into it. You've got to kind of, there's almost a re-entry process that if anybody wants to do anything like this, please talk to me, because there's a healthy way to re-enter life because you've gone through a lot of transformation in a short amount of time. And so about a month after I came home, I decided I was going to sit down in the quiet by myself and read through my journals. And I opened up to the first day, which was the hotel the night before we left for the mountain. I was in a foreign country in Africa by myself in a hotel room, having a little pity party for myself, scared out of my mind, and a little bit lonely. And I don't remember writing this journal entry at all. But when I went back and looked at it, it said, I'm here in Tanzania, I'm here on the mountain looking for 4 things. And it was a numbered list. Number 1 was confidence. Number 2 was clarity. What do I want out of my life? Do I actually want this business? I had a lot of things swirling. Number 3 was peace. And number 4 was myself. I don't remember writing it. I went halfway around the world to find something I already had. I just didn't know how to use it. I didn't know how to conjure it on a day-to-day basis. I didn't need the mountain to make me peaceful. I thought I had to escape the daily news cycles and the stresses of daily life, when really I just needed better habits. I needed a better tribe around me, right? That was going to fill me up instead of drain me. That could be employees, can be family. You all know you have some family that drains you. We just got done with the holidays. I've got them too. And I had to start getting real about where was my peace coming from and where was it being depleted by people, places, and things. So think about that for a moment. What is giving you peace today and what is stealing your peace? Because you don't have to go somewhere to find it. No one's going to give it to you. It's already there. You've just lost it, but you can find it again. The second thing that the mountain taught me is that being ready is a decision, not a feeling. You are never going to be ready to do something hard, ever. When you're standing in the face of fear, your confidence is low, you don't know all the answers, and you choose to step forward anyway. That's a decision. That thing that you want to do personally or professionally. Every one of you has got something. Write a book, climb a mountain, quit your job and do something else. Start a business. What I'll tell you right now is the stars are never going to align. The heavens will not part and the angels are not going to sing when it's time. That doesn't happen. So you take a step forward anyway. What does that step forward need to be for you? It doesn't have to be big, but you need to do it. Because the world needs all of us to step forward in our own way, whatever that looks like, but you cannot wait to feel ready. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, and the next best time, today. Chinese proverb. Today's the day. You leave here full of energy, full of knowledge, with a community that's going to support you on your bad days and say, we've got this, we've got to keep going. Our organizations need us. They might not all know it, but they need us. Another lesson I learned is life's not going to wait for you. The week before Thanksgiving this year, I buried my 57-year-old cousin. She was a business owner. She had 4 kids and 2 grandkids. She found out she had cancer and was dead 6 weeks later. Don't wait for something dramatic to happen in your life to do the things you want to do. To take that trip with your kids, with your spouse, to do the thing that you've been talking about. There'll be a good time. No, there's never going to be a good time. You're never going to have time to do anything. We don't know what's around the next corner. But what the mountain taught me is that I knew what I wanted to do. I was either scared, I didn't have confidence, I didn't have the right people around me. Essentially, I wasn't putting myself in the right rooms to be able to do the work that I needed to do. So what are you waiting for? What is that thing? The next lesson. How many of you think you are an inspiration to somebody? Okay, about half the room. So when I decided to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, I told you I trained in private. If anybody wants to see the picture after we're done, I have what I call a Darth Vader mask. And I would wear it on the treadmill at a 15 incline for 3 hours. And you can crank it up. So I cranked it up to 18,000 feet elevation. And it lets little to no air in. So you're essentially suffocating for 3 hours. And when I would get done, I'd strip the mask off and collapse on the floor so that I could train my body. It's the only way you can train to be at that elevation because it's ridiculous what it does to your body. And it wasn't something I was going to post online. Let's just be clear. Like I look like the guy from Silence of the Lambs is essentially what I looked like. It would scare small children for sure. But I didn't post about my training. And I remember the day that I was leaving and my husband was driving me to the airport. And we were talking and then I went quiet, and he knows what happens when I go quiet. It's usually that I'm nervous and I've got to just kind of breathe and think through. And so I was a mix of nerves and excitement. One moment I felt like I was going to throw up, and the next moment I was like so ready for the adventure. And we got to the airport. He dropped me off on the curb, and I'm standing there with my 2 big duffel bags. And he's like, I'm getting ready for a 30-hour solo travel trip to the other side of the world. And I'm hugging him and we're saying goodbye. And he's like, shouldn't I take a picture of you or something? Like, this is kind of a big deal, right? I was like, oh yeah, maybe. So that smile that you see is the fakest smile I could muster. I mean, it's literally like, okay, take the picture. Like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be here. Like, what am I doing? Right? All those things were going through my head. But it was in that moment I knew I was doing the right thing. So I took that picture And because I hadn't told anybody, my employees knew, but I hadn't told our customers, my really close connections, I was going to be off the grid for 2 weeks. There is no cell service, no Wi-Fi on the mountain. So once you go into the park, I had to tell my husband, if you get a call from a really weird number, answer it, because it might mean I'm being medevaced. I mean, literally, like, you need to answer every call if you're in a meeting or not, because that's the only way you're going to hear if something happens to me. And so I decided, what a great out of office strategy. I'm going to post this on LinkedIn. Hey, everybody, here's me at the airport. I'm going to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. See you in 2 weeks. I think I said a few other things in there. I'm sure it was profound and posted it and got on a plane and started traveling. And I didn't log back in. I just was like, I'm just going to get to where I'm going and then I'll log in. And when I turned my phone back on and got connected to Wi-Fi, my phone blew up. I heard from people I hadn't talked to in 10 or 15 years. Phone calls, voice messages, text messages, LinkedIn messages, emails. 100 people reached out to me. I'm like, what in the world? And I'm thinking, as I'm reading these, like, are they going to be like, what are you doing? Did you buy insurance? Like, right? Like, what are you thinking? Nope. The emails read something like, you are inspiring me to blank. One person out of 100 said, you're inspiring me to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. Didn't have anything to do with what I was doing. It had to do with the fact that I was doing something. I was taking a risk. I was doing something for me. I was being selfish. I have a very different relationship with that word now because, yes, it was completely selfish. And I did it anyway. Because I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think we do enough of the things for us. So it was like, okay, clearly people are paying attention. That's weird. I had no idea. So that was one lesson. And I'm going to share another lesson with you. We're close friends now that we've had this talk. I'll share a personal story about how this was reinforced last year for me. So I mentioned I have 4 kids. My youngest went to college in August. So the year before, last year, he was captain of the soccer team. It was a big deal for him. And he took it very seriously as a leader. And about 2 weeks into the soccer season, his senior year, we got a call on a Sunday night about a young man that was on the JV team who also just happened to live in our neighborhood. He had committed suicide. He was 16 years old. And I watched my son become an adult really fast and go through what any of the rest of us go through. I should have talked to him one more time at practice. I should have offered him another ride home. How come I didn't see this? So I stayed really close to him for the first couple of weeks, like making sure he was okay. I mean, he's an almost 18-year-old boy. Emotions are not their specialty. If any of you have 18-year-old boys, or if any of you have ever been an 18-year-old boy, emotions are not your specialty. So I was like, is he not dealing with it, right? Like, how am I going to know? We haven't been through something like this. How do you have these kind of conversations? How do you help him get through this? And about 2 weeks in, we're standing in the kitchen making dinner, and he was helping me. And for the 1800th time, I asked him how he was doing. And he put what he was doing down, and he put his hands on the counter. And he turned and he looked at me, like, looked at me. When's the last time any of you have had direct eye contact with an 18-year-old boy? When they give you eye contact, you're like, I'm listening. like kind of scary. Like, why are you looking at me like this? And he said, Mom, I'm fine. He said, you know that music that you taught me to listen to when I'm anxious about a test? FYI, there's special music. Talk to me afterwards. I can share it. He said, I'm listening to it. He said, you know that breathing technique that you taught me like before a game when I'm nervous? He said, I'm using it. He said, I'm meditating every night before I go to bed. He still meditates in college. They're watching. They're watching what we do and what we don't do. They're watching us take care of ourselves, and they're watching us deplete ourselves. They are your kids, your family, your spouse, your employees. your community, people in your church. They're watching. So I'm going to ask you again. How many of you think you are inspiring somebody in your life? Don't get this question wrong the second time. It's a trick question, you guys. You are all leaders trying to do something impactful. There are more people watching you and saying, if he can do it or she can do it, maybe I can have that hard conversation. Maybe I can drive that thing I know we need to do for the good of the company. This is the last lesson that I'm going to share with you today. There's many, many more. I wrote a whole blog series on it. So if you're interested, you can go find that on my LinkedIn or on my website, I think somewhere. I can send it to you. This is the last one. So I don't know if I have a little pointer here. Is that a pointer? So see this person in the red jacket right there? That's me. Can you tell? So yeah, exactly. And it was like probably all the way up to here. So when you climb Mount Kilimanjaro, there's different routes you can take up. So I took a 7-day route. And essentially what happens on the 5th day, if I get my math right, I can never remember because one day bleeds into the next. You hike all day, and then at midnight on the 6th day, you get up after having not slept. They tell you to rest. You're like, really? I'm at 14,000 feet. Like nobody's body is resting at 14,000 feet. And you get up at midnight to make the 7-hour trek to the top of the mountain. The 7-hour trek in below zero temperatures. And we just happened to have a nice 40-mile-an-hour crosswind the night we went up. And you take one step and another step for 7 hours. Why do you think they have us start at midnight? Any ideas? Yeah. Because at 19,341 feet, when the sun rises, it doesn't rise from one direction. You're at the curvature of the earth. It rises from all around you. The earth looks like it's on fire. It's a spiritual moment. That's why people do it. And in that moment, and the hours leading up to it, when I'd collapsed once, they had given me what they call cocaine. It's not actually cocaine. It's straight glucose powder in tea to keep, because my glucose was dropping so low, I was almost passing out from the altitude. All sorts of crazy things happened to your body at that you're in a brain fog. I was hallucinating. I was seeing people and things and animals. There's no animals that live that high, just to be clear. No animals were there. Otherwise, my husband would have come with me. So, side story for any of you who are hunters. I was like, do you want to do this with me? And he's like, is there something I can kill at the top? And I'm like, no. He's like, then nope, not interested. Tells you everything about him. And so I'm in my brain fog, and I am just wishing for the sun to rise, because that means two things. We have to be close to the top, and eventually it will get warmer. And warmer doesn't mean warm, it just means warmer. And so I just remember, please let the sun rise, please let the sun rise. And in this moment, when it started to come over the horizon, I'm so thankful someone else had enough wherewithal to take their phone out. My phone never came out. I never took a picture at the top of Mount Kilimanjaro. I was so out of it, I never took a picture. Someone else took this picture. But what's really interesting is I remember this moment. I don't remember a lot else, but I remember when the sun rose that I had this flash of clarity where I said, I cannot believe I created a life that allows me to do this. I created this. And I was so grateful. And all of my brain fog and all of the pain I was experiencing in my body, I was grateful in that moment. Most of us are just living. We're living a life that someone else has told us what success looks like. We're living a life of what it is to play by the rules, do things the way everyone else has done them. And it's not doing any of us any good. It's burning us out. So where do you need to redesign your life? How do you want to define success? FYI, these are the tents I got to sleep in. Yes, we slept on those rocks. We tried to find the least rockiest place to put the tents. I think it's a great time of year for all of us to redefine what success actually looks like. What is going to fulfill us? And it can be work. But what if it was on our terms and aligned to our strengths? What if we were willing to take the risk and do the thing, whatever that thing is? What I realized on the mountain is that I didn't climb Mount Kilimanjaro so that I could create a fancy keynote or some great Instagram posts. I climbed the mountain because I knew a different version of me was on the other side. And the only way I was going to find that person was to do hard things. Staying where I was at, being comfortable with what I was comfortable with, going to the same places, doing the same things was not going to get me there. So my question for you is, what mountain do you need to climb? What mountain is going to help our communities, our organization, our families? That's why you're here. That's why we do these things. It's going to be so easy for you to leave right after this and get sucked right back into the vortex of email and politics and everything else that comes with it. Yep. Or you could choose to do one thing a little differently. This does not have to be huge things. So here's my ask of you. That's all my contact information if anybody wants to connect with me. I'm asking 3 things. Number 1, I want you all in the next week to post on social media. It doesn't have to be anything I said. It could be from the last 2.5 days. I want you to post something about how this has impacted you. Feel free to tag me. I'm sure Linda would be okay with you tagging her. Because guess what? Someone else needs to hear it. There's someone out there that needs to hear that from you. How you were inspired, something you learned, an amazing connection you made that helped you shift your perspective. Create your own impact. The second thing I'm going to ask you to do is not run out of here and go right back into it. Find time to reflect this weekend. If it's 10 minutes, awesome. If you can grab an hour, grab an hour. Reflect on the journey you're on, where you want to go, who do you need in your corner? I'm happy to be one of those people. But do the reflection, because your growth, no offense to Linda or anybody else who's presented here, your growth doesn't happen in the moment, in the presentation. Your growth happens in the reflection afterwards. You have to build that in. And then connect with me. That's a link to, there's a little feedback form and you can get my newsletter. So back to the who are you inspiring? I've built a brand platform as an entrepreneur. Yes, it's led to some great awards, big deal. But I have a responsibility to put out content that's going to bring light into the world and not darkness. So that's why I want to connect with you. I don't have anything to sell you. I don't have anything I need from you. I just want to create more people who are putting light into the dark, who can be optimistic in the face of fear and the unknown. Because the more of us there are, the more energy I get. Because then I get to see your posts and I get to see what you're doing and the impact that you're making. So treat this like a true community. We don't need to have anybody in common to be connected, to support each other, to share each other's voices so that together we can make the impact that we need to make. Are we all ready to climb the mountain? It's Friday afternoon. It's okay. You can wait till Monday to start climbing. Like Linda said, you can rest. That's what I've got for you today, you guys. Thank you for allowing me to be here. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Happy to take questions. FYI, I am a complete open book to a fault, so be very careful what you ask because I will answer.
Anyone have questions for Jaime?
Anything, personal, professional, mountain, not mountain. Yeah. On the mountain or just in general? Oh, yeah. Okay, so there's science behind this for you, those of you who like things proven. 432 megahertz up to 520 megahertz. Your body actually vibrates, the cells in your body vibrate at that megahertz. So when you listen to those playlists, it's known to reduce blood pressure, anxiety, calm. I listen to it every day in my office, low tone, like I'm on calls, nobody knows it's on. But you can go on Spotify, Pandora, and just type in 428 megahertz, and there's hours of playlists. They have no words. It's just vibrations. Another thing that you can also listen to, I do that kind of day in and day out. I don't listen to anything on the way to work. I listen to that music just to get my body right, neurologically. The other thing you can look for is binaural music. So you're gonna make me spell it. Binaural, I think. And it's the music that it's actually programmed to go one ear to the other ear. So it's best with headphones in. And that's what I use for meditating. It's actually meant to stimulate your brain in a different way and allow you to relax. So my kids see me do it and I use it. I mean, unfortunately, they get in my car and it's like, there's not some fun song playing. It's my, they're like, oh, mom was in the car listening to her music again. But that's what I do because it's the only way I can do this. I've been in Florida for 3 days. This is my 4th keynote this week. It's the only way I can keep my energy up so that I show up for you guys in the right way is I do all these hacks to help me. I'll probably listen to it on my way out of here too, just to maintain energy so I can actually not be completely depleted for my family tonight. Other questions? All right, shout it out.
So when you were on the mountain, did you ever think about giving up? Did that come across?
100 times. So I was in a group of 11. I didn't know anybody. 11 complete strangers. Most of them, all of them except for one other person had somebody with them, right? So when you're in tents at night, that's when it gets real lonely. During the day, I was typically fine. The summit night, if anybody in our group had given up, I fear that I would have been like, I'll go back down with her. But I didn't share it, but you made me think of another story. We were probably an hour and a half from the top and I was feeling really bad. And there was a gentleman there. These people were from all over the world. So only 2 other people were from the United States. So Korea, the UK, Russia, it was amazing. We'd have conversations 8 hours a day, you're hiking, right? And about an hour and a half from the top, the other guy who was by himself, right? We had kind of taken care of each other a little bit. It's tough when we go back to our tents at night, right? Everyone else has someone else to talk to. And it was like, how lonely are you feeling? Yeah, me too. And about an hour and a half from the top, he saw me. We took a quick break and you can't stop for more than 3 or 4 minutes because literally you'll freeze to death. You have to keep moving. And so they wouldn't let us stop long, but he saw me. I didn't say anything. And he just walked up to me and he took the back of my head and went like this and put it on his shoulder. And I literally put all my body and I just rested on his shoulder. It probably was 10 seconds. It felt like I took a nap. And after that, when I came back down the mountain and we kind of debriefed on everything, I remember thinking, that's what humanity is. He didn't have to say anything to me. I haven't seen him since. I mean, we keep up on WhatsApp, everybody does, but that is seeing another human being when they're hurting and just saying, I got you. I don't know what you need. I can't fix how your body's feeling, but I've got you. And so if it wasn't for that, I don't know that I would have made it to the top. And also my guide had been up 400 times. This is literally what they do. These people in Tanzania are amazing. And this is a really good job in Tanzania. They get paid really well. And so they're so excited to be there. And you're like, why are you excited right now? This sucks. He was also really key. When we started summit night, I'll never forget, he said, for 7 hours, you are going to trade short-term pain for long-term pride. And you're just going to have to keep trading it every single step. And I did. step by step, I just kept thinking long-term pride. Like, I can do this, right? It's so there were so many moments that I felt like turning around, but it was the people around me that got me to the top. So that's a really important lesson, is in your hardest time, someone else is feeling good and vice versa. Yeah.
After that journey, what do you feel is the biggest difference that you feel in, the decisions that you make and the way that you go about your day, coming out the other side, being through that journey?
It's a great question. I feel like I'm in therapy. My therapist could probably tell you more than I could. I just don't see the same limits that I saw before. I'm not really scared of things anymore in that same way. It's a weird confidence without arrogance. Like, whatever, bring it on. I'll figure it out. It's probably going to be painful, but we'll figure it out. And I even honestly, and so for a while I was like, what is this? Is this okay? Is it healthy? And even with the way our world is right now, and this is why I say I really do take a responsibility online to the language I use and how I talk. I don't want it to be all puppies and unicorns, but I also don't want to add to the darkness. And I think a lot of us are drawn into that, right? And we want to make it that way. I've really started to put more emphasis on my voice and what impact I want my voice to have, not just if I want to be seen and heard. What impact, what ripple effect do I want it to have? I think that's probably the biggest thing. I mean, I could talk for hours on all the other things. There's so many lessons, but yeah, it was transformative. Yeah.
Thank you, Jamie. Were there preparatory psychological resiliency things you did in training and preparation, independent or with the Darth Vader mask, so that you didn't stop walking? I mean,
Yeah.
freezing to death is motivating to avoid.
It is. It really is. So what I think contributed to my success was my mental resilience. So I'll tell you a couple stories when we got at summit night. So not in our group, but another group that we had kind of been with that was going up that same night was an ultra marathoner, right? So these are the crazy guys that do like 100 miles. He didn't make it to the top. And what they had told us was that at some point, physical ability, I mean, unless you are really unhealthy, which you wouldn't even have made it to that point, physical ability has nothing to do with it. It's all mental resilience. So I had been meditating for years. I feel like I had the tools. I built more, but I really feel like I had the tools and I trained those just as much. I did visualization of getting to the top, right? I could look pictures up what it looks like at the top. I would visualize myself at the top. So there absolutely were things that I still use to this day that helped me get through it. But the hardest things you're going to do have nothing to do with your intelligence or your experience or your strength. They have to do with your mental toughness, really. And most of us have not exercised that muscle enough. I see it in leaders all the time. Great question. Yeah.
Thanks, Jamie, thanks for sharing again some of the lessons learned going up to the top of the mountain. I'm curious, what would be one lesson coming down from that mountain that you can share?
That's great. All I can think of is the pain. That's where my brain goes. Going up is hard. Going down is miserable. 9 kilometers down, my knees were blown. I lost 3 toenails. I was feeling good, like I hadn't had blisters or anything. It was miserable going down. But you also just want to be done. So you're like, I just want to shower. Like, what does a hot shower feel like right now? So it's just as mental, right? You just have gravity helping you go a little bit faster on the way down. There was something else I was going to share when you asked, and it totally escaped me. But yeah, I just booked the Rim to Rim Grand Canyon for September of this year. And I was talking to somebody right before I came here, actually, who's done it. And I said, I'm most terrified for the down. Right? On my knees, just the pressure it puts on you. So I think everyone fears the climb, but sometimes riding off of that can hurt in different ways, right? It's maybe not as hard cardiovascularly, but it can hurt in different ways too. So it's all part of the journey. I think looking back is the obstacles and the pain were what forged me, And I don't think enough of us think about it that way, that if I sat with every single one of you and you told me your story, you only know this much of my story. There's a whole lot of other stuff in there. I wrote my first book about it. You can learn more than you ever want to know about me by reading my first book. But every single one of those stories that you would tell me has created the opportunity where you are at today. Lori and I were just talking about it over lunch. If that hadn't happened, this wouldn't have happened. And in the moment, you're like, I wish this wouldn't have happened. That's essentially what the mountain is, right? It's all the pain has brought you to this point. So don't be scared of the pain. Don't be scared of what's in front of you. Be scared of being the same person you are right now next year. I'll tell you, that's what terrifies me the most, is not growing. So that's probably the biggest mindset shift that I've made. Great question.
Thank you for a great session.
Yeah.
What inspired to take the risk, first thing? And second, was it a calculated risk that you wanted to take it with Kilimanjaro? Because there are many different ways to take even more higher risks.
Yeah. What made me take it was just, like I said, I needed something that scared me more than what I was facing, because I knew if I could tackle that, then I maybe would lessen, I didn't know, but I was hoping I would lessen the fear of everything else I was facing, right? Going into 2023. So that's what helped me kind of push me over the edge to make the commitment. And why Kilimanjaro? I don't really love cold. And while it was cold at the top, Everest, if you look at most of the other summits, there's some kind of snow. So I went during a time where there was glaciers. There's glaciers at the top of Kilimanjaro that, unfortunately, if you're ever going to do it, you need to do it in the next 5 years, because the glaciers are melting, which is really sad. But they're beautiful. But Kilimanjaro is probably the entry level of the 7 summits. It doesn't require technical ability, meaning actual mountaineering, like that kind of stuff. So I knew I wouldn't have to spend all this time doing that. And I was already an avid hiker. So it was probably the easiest of all of them for me to say, if I don't die here, maybe I'll do another one. I don't know. So the next one I would do, I have no urge to do all of them, but the next one I would do is in Papua New Guinea, and it is a technical. So it's only 14,000 feet, which, just to give everybody an idea, of 19,341 feet. Has anyone ever been to Rocky Mountain National Park at the Visitor Center? Okay, when you go up those stairs, if you go up those stairs and you can barely breathe, we went a full mile higher than the Visitor Center at Rocky Mountain National. Think about that for a moment. That's how high we were. Crazy things. So 14,000 feet, which is what the Visitor Center is at, give or take, is no big deal. So now I look at the 14ers that used to scare me. And so it's perspective. It's really all it is. It's perspective at the end of the day.
So this is the last question before we let Jaime sign some books, and it's going to be mine.
Oh, yay.
And that thing you said about, if it doesn't kill me, maybe I'll have another one. I said that when my first child was born. Anyway, and he's here somewhere, so it didn't kill me, and I had another one. But I didn't have any more after that. And also, I thought I'd quit while I was ahead. Here's my question, and I'm just going to weave together some of, and thank you so much. I'll say that first before everything gets busy. Of course, thank you again and again. You talked about making a huge business mistake, and you talked about the fear and how immobilizing that can be, and the impact on your life. And then you told us a bunch more stories. You told us your cousin, you told us about a child suicide, you told us, and your son, and the impact on your son, which you experienced. You told us about climbing a mountain. Now, take for me back to the huge business mistake that I think happened before all that. And how do you feel about that now? How do you feel about making mistakes? How do you, not to put anything in your mouth here, but how do you feel about making mistakes? How do you feel about how you view that? How do you feel about that now compared maybe to how you felt about it when you did it?
It was a $500,000 gift. Like I told you, there's a lot of other aspects to my story, just like yours. I started my business in 2013 thinking I had a safety net. I was married to an executive at another company, right? We both had great careers. And 6 months later, I was in the middle of a divorce that I wasn't planning on. So I was a single mom with a brand new business with not a lot of revenue coming in. One of the best things that ever happened to me. And I don't say that lightly because children were involved, and I don't mean to be callous about it. My business would not be where it was at. My career would not be where it was at if I didn't have to go through that. So I have a very different perspective on failure and crap we go through. It's happening for a reason. It's not happening to me, it's happening for me. And I'm not saying you feel that way when you're in the middle of it. But coming out the other side, if we really examine it, it's an opportunity for you to grow, for you to become who you were supposed to become. My favorite quote in the world is the Mark Twain. The two most important days in your life, anybody know it? The day you were born and the day you find out why. You were all put here for a reason. I'm still figuring mine out, but I'm getting closer and closer to it every day. That's success. So that's how I look at it. It's just a part of that.
Yep. And I kind of knew you were going to say that. Not because you told me
we've
that
had this
before, but
discussion.
because I just know what you were, I mean, I just knew you had to say it that way. Okay, so in the message that I wrote to everyone at the beginning of this whole thing, we're in charge of us. We're in charge of us. That means community, that means individually, that means at work, at home. We're in charge of us, and we just got to get over waiting for people to let us do things.
Yes.
And I'm really kind of in this now. This is my phase of, you're going to hear this like probably constantly from me, but we got to figure it out, right? Find our strength, find our path, and screw up and make someone mad or whatever. But the time of defining, wait, what is architecture? What is this? What is an architect? What is that? Well, you're not that, I'm that. And you can't be that. And what are you going to do for me? And how are you going to make money for this company? You know what? We're not going to defend and explain this. We're going to show up and do it. And we will tell people by our actions. Try that first. And then of course we have to have all the stuff of corporate and communication and everything. I'm not saying we're never going to, of course we have to live in the world, but try that first. Let's try to just do stuff, do the things we know how to do, because we are very uniquely inclined and competent to do some things. So what we're going to do now, before we even clap again for Jaime, so stand right there, is I'm just going to tell you, you're going to go up and get a book if you want one, and then
Stay down here.
duh. And if you want it
Actually, there's
signed,
books down here too. So
yeah, but don't all rush this. Go get that one. But if you want it signed, because why wouldn't you? And she's already agreed to do this for me. And then you're also going to scan that QR code, answer like 2 simple questions, and then we'll make all of the PDFs from all the sessions available to you. That's just your path to get in there. But then we're done. And I am delighted. I'm talking now because I'm not going to talk again. I've had a lot of fun. I hope everyone's had fun, and we'll keep doing this as long as you keep showing up, as long as we keep want to do it. And get in touch, help with it, be part of it. Ask for help. Ask Jaime for help. She offered. Ask, any of us. But this is why we do this. And so I'm delighted with every single one of you. And I hope you've been happy and fulfilled in the experience. And now we're going to clap for Jaime.
Thank you.